Welcome, I'm Jeremy. Feel the hush of an evening that could last forever. Let's begin. Willow Creek is a speck on the county map. One dirt crossroads, one sleepy general store, and beyond it, miles of wheat rising and falling in lazy waves. At dusk, the fields glow amber. At night, they turn the color of a moth's wing beneath the moon. On the edge of those fields sits the coal farmhouse. The back porch sags in the middle, but the fairy lights still shine. Small pearls of glow strung from nail to rusty nail. Izzy Cole leans against a post, sketchbook open, tongue caught between her teeth as she shades a rough outline of the northern tree line. Ash Grove, locals call it, though no one remembers who Ash was. Her father taught her star mapping years ago. He'd say, "Draw the sky as you wish it to be, then find the gap between wish and is. Chart that, and you'll change the world." Every night since he passed, Izzy has tried to close that gap a little. The rain tonight is thin, more mist than storm, yet it beads on the sketchbook pages. Izzy doesn't mind. Rain gives weight to the air, like turning pages in a heavy book. While she pencils a new dotted line, possible hidden spring. A shape moves where the soybean rows meet the forest. A figure, indistinct in the gloom, emerges beneath the dripping boughs of a sweet gum. Izzy's first instinct is to freeze. The second, to reach for the flashlight wedged behind the porch post. "Hello?" she calls, voice pitching higher than she intends. The figure stops, shoulders hunched under a hood, water sluicing down the fabric. Then it steps forward into the radius of porch light. A boy, maybe 18, with hair plastered to his forehead and rainwater streaming from his sleeves. "Sorry," he says, breathless, eyes scanning the dusk. I need the highway. Think I'm lost." Izzy's suspicion eases just a fraction. He looks more drenched than dangerous. Highway's a 4-mile walk over muddy roads. At night, with only a dying flashlight, no chance. "You're headed the wrong way," she tells him, nodding past the wheat toward distant hills. "Come up on the porch till it lets up." He hesitates only a moment before splashing through the puddles and climbing the steps. Up close, he seems almost translucent in the lantern glow. Skin pale, eyes a shy gray-green. Rainwater drips onto the planks. "I'm Izzy," she offers. He pushes wet hair back. "Wren." No last name. Fine. She gestures at the quilt across her lap. He shakes his head politely, water flicking onto the boards. Minutes pass in silence except for rain on metal roof and crickets in the grass. Izzy's hand moves of its own accord, shading a new line on her map, an unplanned trail curving from the forest edge to a small X near her porch, where Wren appeared. Wren notices. "You map things." "Everything," she says. "Stars first, then the woods. Found an old still once, back near Crow's Hollow." He smiles, almost startled. "That's cool." His teeth chatter. Izzy stands, flicks a switch on the wall. The porch glows warmer. "Stay till you're dry, then I'll point you roadward." She adds softer. "Not many strangers wander Willow Creek." "I'm passing through," he murmurs. Unease tingles in her chest, passing through what? But the rain intensifies, drowning further questions. Instead, she pulls a page from her sketchbook, hands him a pencil. Mark the route you tried tonight. Might save you muddy boots next time. He studies the blank page, head cocked, rainwater still slick on his brow. Sure, he whispers, leaning over the step. Lightning flickers beyond the trees. Thunder rolls lazily behind it. Between flashes, Izzy notices something odd. Wren's boots are bone dry now. The water still drips from his coat hem. She blinks. Next moment, the boots are wet again. A trick of the light? The storm rumbles, covering her frown. Wren sketches a crooked line through the soy rows, taps the page. Here, I thought this fence led east. Guess not. Izzy nods, mapping the orientation in her head. That line's wrong on county charts, broken in 2 storms ago. They exchange a half smile, a small alliance in wet darkness. When the rain finally slows to a mist, Izzy hands him an old barn lantern, shows him the path to the gravel lane. Highway's that way. Stay by the hedgerow. He thanks her, voice barely above the hiss of drizzle, then vanishes into the soft dark beyond the porch light. Izzy waits until his faint glow merges with the mist. She exhales, returns to her map, labels the new line Stranger's Trail, and circles it twice. Somewhere in the soy field, a lone nightjar sings, and Izzy can't tell whether the tremor in her hand is cold or curiosity. The next evening, the sky wears clouds the color of doves, and a warm drip begins just after sundown. Izzy is once again on the porch, fairy lights flickering, pages from last night drying in a loose stack beside her tea. She adds careful notes about wind shift, cricket patterns, and the faint scent of cedar drifting off the tree line. Her mother's voice filters through the screen door. Back before 9 is... Promises, Izzy answers, though she isn't sure time means much here. As she settles with her pencil, windshield wiper rain passes in quick sweeps across the yard. The soy leaves slap softly together, curtains of green in the dusk. Footsteps return, softer than before, approaching from the same break in the hedge. She spots the lantern first, bobbing like a captured star. Then Wren emerges, coat buttoned, eyes bright despite damp hair plastered to his forehead. He lifts the lantern in greeting. Your directions worked. You kept the lantern, she says, surprised by her own thrill of recognition. Figured it might guide me back, he replies, voice steadier. Got something for you. From his satchel, he removes a small roll of onion skin paper, tied with twine. Last night's path, cleaned up. Izzy unrolls it beneath the fairy lights. The trail is redrawn neatly, including tiny icons, a cluster of mushrooms, a hollow stump with an arrow, safe hiding spot, and a crooked arrow labeled False Creek Bend. You're serious, she whispers, admiring the precision. Wren shrugs. Habit. She pulls her notebook close, tapes his map fragment onto a blank spread, draws a dotted connection between his trail and her own star chart. Looks like you took the long way. I always do, he replies, half a smile curling. Rain turns more insistent now, rattling the porch roof. Izzy shifts aside, patting a dry plank. Sit before you melt. He settles, careful to keep to the edge of the light. Izzy dips her head to the sky. Can't see stars tonight, but we can still map them. She flips pages to an older constellation sketch, her father's. This one's Lyra, my favorite. Vega's the heart. Dad said it was the quiet anchor in the summer sky. Quiet anchor, Ren repeats, testing the phrase. I like that. They talk in low tones about how the forest hums differently after rain, how the barn owl by the creek calls 3 times when dawn is close, how certain trails glow faintly when the moon is thin. Izzy notices how Ren never steps beyond the porch lantern's radius, how he angles his body away from the glimmering light strings. At one lull, she asks, "You all right with the brightness?" He tucks damp hair behind an ear. Lanterns are fine, just not the big light. She files the comment away with a soft nod, not pressing. Instead, she offers him a worn copy of a sky atlas, pages falling out. You can borrow it. Mark anything you think belongs on our map. He accepts it as if it's fragile glass. I'll bring something in return. What? Still deciding. He smiles. Lightning flickers farther off. Izzy's mother's voice calls again through the screen, a gentle hush of concern. Time. Izzy sighs. She escorts Ren to the steps, pressing the lantern back into his hand. See you when it rains. He hesitates, then taps the lantern glass. Then let's wish for storms. He slips into the wet hush, his silhouette swallowed by mist. Izzy watches until the lantern glow fades, then rolls up her map and writes in the margin. Met again. Charted Mushroom Grove. Must check False Creek Bend. Tonight, she dreams of paper constellations unfolding like wings, leading her down a path lit only by softly glowing rain. Rain falls 5 nights in a row, sometimes a whisper, sometimes a quick burst, just enough to blur sunset and hush the town. Each night, Ren appears at the edge of the porch glow, lantern in hand. They start a ritual. He brings 1 new scrap for the master map. Izzy adds it, then reads him a legend that matches the terrain they charted. Night 1. Ren sketches a stone circle lost to tall grass, 5 knee-high boulders etched with lichen spirals. Izzy remembers her father's tale of the listening stones that hum during equinox storms. Night 2. Izzy shows Ren a dried-up creek bed she once followed to an overgrown berry patch. He marks where the banks crumble into swallow nests. Night 3. Together they venture onto the yard's edge beneath umbrellas, mapping the crooked fence line while fireflies drift like tiny sparks. Ren's boots splash in puddles. Izzy's laughter rises each time he misquotes a constellation myth. Night 4. Thunder keeps them under the porch roof. They trade stories. Izzy tells of her dad tracking Orion through February snow. Ren admits he's wandered half the state by starlight, always leaving before sunrise. Night 5. A mist so fine it halos the fairy lights. Ren presents a charcoal rubbing of tree bark carved with initials long ago. Izzy overlays it onto her map, labeling the place Heartwood. One late August evening, clouds stack high and rumble but never break. Wren suggests a short trek. There's a place I want to show you. Izzy's mother allows it, provided they're back before the first lightning flash. Lanterns in hand, they follow Wren's earlier sketch past the listening stones, through ferns still dripping last night's rain. The air smells of wet peat and crushed cedar. At the base of a shallow ravine, moss parts to reveal a pool no larger than a wash tub. Water seeps up crystal clear, rippling in perfect circles, though no drop of rain falls. Izzy kneels, cupping a palmful. It tastes like cold honeysuckle. She records it on the map as Moonbright Spring, discovered with W. Wren watches her handwriting, a soft pride glinting in his eyes, though he never steps into the open patch where the moonlight threatens to peek through a gap in the clouds. On their hike back, they pass a patch of mushrooms glowing faintly blue. Izzy laughs. Fairy trail markers. Wren murmurs, or warnings. Yet he plucks one, slips it into a specimen jar for her sketchbook. Back on the porch, Izzy drums pencil tips on the railing while Wren studies the master map now spanning 3 taped-together sheets. "It's becoming something," he says. "A memory," Izzy answers. "One big enough to walk inside." They speak of future trails, an abandoned orchard rumored beyond the western ridge, a cave entrance Swallow Creek kids whisper about. Izzy makes notes in green ink. Orchard? Cave? Ask Wren where shadows stay longest. When lightning finally flickers on the horizon, Wren flinches subtly. Izzy notices, covering it with a question about Vega. He relaxes, explaining how Vega once guided migrating herds, how some cultures called it the Weaver's Star, tying fate to silver threads. Izzy marks a tiny Vega on the map's corner and writes Quiet Anchor beside it. As rain starts in earnest, Wren gathers his things. He leaves behind a sprig of cedar on the porch rail. "Keeps storms whispering," Dad said. Izzy tucks it between map pages, savors the scent long after his lantern glow fades. The next week drifts in on warmer air and restless clouds, the kind that threaten rain but never fully commit. Izzy waits each evening on the porch, lantern lit, map spread across her lap. The fields shimmer under lingering daylight that seems determined to stretch a little farther west. When Wren finally appears, the last rim of sunset still stains the horizon, forcing him to hug the tree line until twilight deepens. He stops shy of the porch light and pulls his hood lower as if the dim rays still carry fire. Tonight, he brings a parcel wrapped in waxed paper, a feather the color of ash, a glass shard smoothed by stream water, and a charcoal sketch of an apple tree tangled with wild vines. Proof, he says, of the forgotten orchard up the ridge. Izzy's heart kicks at the possibility. Together, they pin the orchard onto the growing map, then trace out 2 potential paths. One that skirts the exposed meadow, and another that twists through hemlock stands dense enough to swallow moonlight. Wren taps the shaded road. Safer. More cover. Izzy finally asks what she's been circling around for nights. Why does light scare you so much? Her voice barely carries over the chorus of cicadas. He laces his fingers tightly. It's more than fear, he says, eyes fixed on the paper stars overhead. Sunlight turns me to stone. Not a story, an old curse on my family. Shade and storm are all I have between me and forever. Rain begins at that moment, as if summoned. A gentle scatter against the porch roof. Izzy reaches over, covers his clenched hands with her own. They sit like that while the summer dark closes in, the map fluttering between them, the porch lights flickering against the deepening dusk. Thunder murmurs beyond the woods, promising another soaking night, and Izzy whispers, "Then we'll keep to the paths that stay cool and quiet." The rain thickens, and for a while they say nothing, just listening to the roof drum while Wren's shoulders ease, and the edges of tomorrow soften into possibility. Autumn settles in with sharper air and longer stretches of unbroken sun. For days, the sky stays startlingly clear, and Wren doesn't appear. Izzy walks the porch each evening, lantern unlit, tracing their map with restless fingers. The orchard sketch, the moonbright spring, the hidden grove. Leaves turn rust red on the sugar maples. Wheat fields bleach to pale straw. At last, on a late season night when clouds finally gather and a soft drizzle returns, Wren emerges at the edge of the yard. His lantern is dim. His shoulders carry goodbye before he even speaks. "I have to move on," he says, voice unsteady. "The dry spell's only going to grow. I can't risk daylight finding me." Izzy presses the rolled master map into his hands, but he closes her fingers back over it. "This is yours. Our memory. Keep walking it for both of us." From his satchel, he takes a small tin compass, the brass worn smooth. "For the trails you haven't drawn yet." They meet at the old wooden bridge one final time, rain whispering over the planks. Izzy tells him her favorite star, Vega, quiet, steady, a beacon even in the emptiest sky. Wren traces the compass lid, then looks up through misting rain. "I'll follow Vega whenever storms allow." Their embrace is fierce and brief. When they part, water gleams on both their cheeks. He steps into the forest's dark mouth, lantern glow shrinking among the trunks until it fades like a heartbeat, falling silent. Izzy stands on the bridge long after, letting the rain pattern the river below until the map in her arms darkens with damp. Back home, she pins it across her bedroom wall, threads of paper and tape spreading like constellations. Each night she walks those paths in memory, finger tracing the orchard, the spring, the listening stones. And whenever clouds gather and rain begins, she steps onto the porch, lantern lit, gaze fixed on the tree line. Listening for soft footsteps, watching for a dim glow returning through the mist, carrying stories of shadows and stars. Good night.